So welcome everybody. I'm sure at this point everybody is comforted and relieved that all the money that you were sending me actually went to a reunion. Because we've been doing this for a while. I have learned a lot from him through the years, I really have. And he is an award-winning author. He is a host. He's a writer, a producer, an actor, a coach. And he's going to give a benediction for our meal tonight, so he's also a reverend.
I'm a priest.
He does everything. So I want to thank Herbie for what he's been in my life and in my family's life.
Way to go, Herb.
Herbie is a gem. And I love Herbie. So without any further ado, let's give a very warm welcome to the co-sponsor of this event, Herbie J. Pilato.
Thank you. Okay, so now everybody, it's so great that we're all here. And you know, we've got some special guests.
Yes. Two of them.
Okay? Two famed NBC celebrities, Mr. Larry Wilcox from Chips. And Mr. Dean Butler from Little House on the Prairie. And Dean has a book that he just had released. It's a bestseller, and that's going to be one of the raffles items. But I'm not going to talk too much longer. I just want to say that when I first got the job, I went to a taping of Family Ties, like in, I don't know, 1983. I stopped a page, and I said, I want to do what you're doing. And he said, no, you don't. He said, you really don't. He goes, it doesn't pay anything. I said, I don't care. I said, I want. His name was Horace Smith. I don't know if anyone ever worked with Horace. But, you know, it was because of him, God bless his soul, wherever he is, in heaven, for sure. He got me the job, so he's got to be in heaven. So. And then I, called Eva every 2 weeks, or Karen. And call back next week, call back next week, call back for 6 months, and then I went to like Vegas or something. I said, forget this. And then Monday I got the job. Anyway, it was and it remains one of the most special jobs that I ever had. It primed me for the industry all the way around, especially the cycloramas. In every which way.
It was back in 84, 85, and I was working on studio number 1, The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson. And I was the page for the night, and taking messages, phone calls, whatever might come through. And the show's over. Ed comes out, and I said, Mr. McMahon, excuse me, I have a personal phone call message for you.
Thank you.
And just before I said that, Johnny goes, no personal phone call messages for me? Now, you may think that was nothing, but what it was a call from New York giving Ed McMahon a chance to do a show called Star Search.
Back in 1984, I wrote this with you in mind. But I was way too shy to read it, even as an NBC page. I could not get up on the stage. Dear George, no. I really honestly could not do it back then, and sat back down and said, I didn't write anything. But here it is. I've thought about it since 1984, and I said, I am doing this tonight. You got So, thank you for being here. Now, we also wear glasses now, too. So, are you ready?
George, are you ready?
'Twas the hour before cutoff when out on the set. Everyone was scurrying, they weren't ready yet. The pages were nestled all snug in the lounge, while the TV was blaring but making no sound. With clipboard in hand, George readied his crew. And hoped that they all would be there to pull through. He came to us crawling to just within reach and started to give us his camera speech. His eyes, how they twinkled, his frown lines, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His clenched little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the color of his face was as white as the snow. With the hint of a smile we saw through clenched teeth, and ideas encircled his head like a wreath. "Remember," George said, as he surveyed his crew, "you all must shout louder and watch ages too." This is back in '84, I guess we watched ages. "You all must shout louder and watch ages too." Sorry, I just repeated that. The uniforms were hung on the pages with care, for fear that old Jesse just might be there. "Roll down those sleeves, all those bows must be tied, and hands out of pockets, they stay by your side." And backstage at Scrabble, the fervor was rising, for no one was ready, which wasn't surprising. When out on the set there arose such a clatter, George sprang from the lobby to see what was the matter. Away to the stage door he flew like a flash, threw open the door, almost fell on his rear. It was '84. When what to his wondrous eyes did appear but a missing J. Stewart and Chuck Woolery in fear. The pages could help, George knew just what to do, and he pulled all the talent from out of his crew. More rapid than beagles, the page crew they came, and George grunted and growled and called them by name. You still love me, right, George? On Herbie, on Roger, on Marty and Craig. Now Richard, I don't know who Richard is. Now Carl, Ken and Bob Gregg. Basketball Jones will be Mike Connor's gift, and Carl can tell jokes till they fill in the rift. So Herb grabbed a mic and began to rehearse, but George held him back, let the audience in first. Now to the top of the stairs, to the end of the hall, off the stage, off the stage, off the stage, all. Then in a twinkle, George heard from the front, the audience starting to growl and to grunt. "What time do we start this? The wait, how much longer?" The chanting got louder and larger and stronger as George trembled with fear and was turning around. Down the aisleway came the audience with a bound. "If anyone trips, you all will be fired. Collect all those tickets and watch all those wires. Don't shout out answers. Don't smoke, drink, or eat, and escort old ladies right up to their seats." The page crew jumped up and danced out of beat. But the pages were marvelous. You know, remember marvelous? The audience cried more, but the show must go on, and said George, "No encores." And finally J. Stewart was ready to go, with hopes to envision a fabulous show. And the moment drew near, the time was at hand, as George left the stage and J. Stewart began. And we heard George exclaim, as he walked out of sight, "Stand by your man and have a good show tonight."
Thank you. On the opening shoot day of Scrabble, which had this giant 12 by 12 box, which was lined with lights, they were still practicing setting it up, because in the opening sequence, it spun. They spun it once, they did the opening, and then they had to break for lunch, for something. And they came back after lunch, and they hadn't rewound it. And they spun it again. And all of the wires and all of the interior lights were pulled out. And we were sitting there with an audience waiting. and a massive technical disaster. I had forgotten this until you started to.
He's traumatized.
PTSD! It's PTSD. That's not a question. And I'm handing this back to you, Herbie.
Oh my God! Thank you for that, George. That was just amazing. That never in a bazillion years. I didn't know what you really were going to say. You know, I thought, oh no, okay, she wanted to read a poem, all right? But that was fantastic. Fantastic.
Hi, this is Jay Bakerink and Deanne McLaughlin. And our memory, which you just reminded me of today, was when you moved on from being the page, when you were done being the page, what happened?
You took off your badge and you would
stick it up and throw it up into the ceiling.
you'd throw it up there, and all the names of people who had promotions from being an NBC page, their names were on the ceiling.
So if you walked into the NBC lounge, you would see all these badges up in the ceiling, and you were like, okay, they've moved on. We're still here. We still got a ways to go.
We got to do that.
We got to do that. So that's our memory. One of our memories.
And before you know, I started writing music, and I have my 5th album out in a couple months. I love writing from the heart. It's been very therapeutic for me. And so when Herbie told me about this reunion, I'm like, well, I gotta write a song. And so I wrote this song, I made this video, and it's very much from the heart. And I just love everything about being a page, and I'm just grateful for you, and thank you.
It's a special club, and you'll always find it at the bottom of a resume. But you can't deny those were exciting times. Still think about those days today. 1 minute you're picking up Mark Harmon on a limo run, then you're headed back to Wheel of Fortune. Whoever heard of so much fun? And it's a special club, taking part in so much television history, working near the greatest comic genius. Another Carson there will never be. The Tonight Show theme seemed like a dream each time it started up. But before the job felt much too glamorous, a research group was my next stop. And it's a special club, whoever heard of so much awesome opportunity. One night you're hanging with the Golden Girls, and next you're backstage at the Emmys. Yes, those were the days of an NBC page. We had our own stage with our 2 words, a wide open door, who could ask for more? Some bigwig might ask who you were. And it's been 40 years, whoever thought that ever could be a possibility. But the 80s were the greatest years that NBC has ever seen. Think of the stories, the losses, the glories. Thanks for the memories, we'll think of you always. Those were the days. Those were the days. You look marvelous days. As an NBC page, as an NBC page, we are there. As an NBC
Gretchen, that was fantastic.
Yay, Gretchen! Yay, Gretchen!
When she said changed the video. She did the whole thing. Just amazing.
Great job.
Great job.
I remember when Jesse Gomez was evaluating my tour, and we did the Tonight Show stuff, and later he said, I might have to write you up, that's a lot of misinformation. I said, like what? He goes, the original band leader was Sketch Henderson, not Bobby Byrne. I said, no, it was Bobby Byrne. He goes, who's your source? I said, Steve Allen. And after that, he made all the pages take my Tonight Show tour. But anyway, that was just one of the fun times I actually one-upped Jesse Gomez.
My name is Julie Myers King, and I was a page from 1992 to 1993. It was an interesting time when we were pages because they had just started the touring back from the Gulf War, and we were the first pages that were there for Jay Leno's beginning. So Johnny had just ended and Jay was beginning. And I worked the first press tour in January of '93 when it was officially announced that Jay would be taking over permanently from the show. And it was in Santa Monica, at the Santa Monica airport. I was stationed to go there in the limo as the, quote, limo page and help pick him up at the airport to bring him to the Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica. He entered his official press panel driving his motorcycle up the aisles into the ballroom of the press tour. But the most amazing thing that I remember is being able to sit in a limo in the front with Jay Leno in the back. And he was so kind and he was so thoughtful. He said, his first question was, so what do you want to do? And basically asking about me. And he was just so gracious. And that, among many things, are one of my favorite memories of NBC. And other than meeting my husband of 30 years, and I truly cherish my time there.
Okay, we have another special guest here who is going to show a couple videos. Mr. Don Sweeney, the musical director of The Tonight Show. So John, let's just talk a little bit about I usually have like a bazillion memories, but if you could just keep it, a little, tell the good stories. Keep it short, like me. Okay. Oh, that's. Yeah, I know. I could hold it. Oh, here you go. Don Sweeney.
All right, so how many worked at NBC in the 1970s? Raise your hand. Okay. I guess now that you're retired, you're wearing Skechers shoes. Right?
Slip-ons.
Slip-ons, right, that's right. Over the years, how many of you worked on The Tonight Show as a page? I recognized every single one. Needless to say, working The Tonight Show was a dream come true for me. I worked there for 20 years. 16 and a half with Johnny Carson and 3 and a half with Jay Leno. I know some of you even wanted my job. You know I was the guy standing near the band every day doing nothing. There was more to the job than that. The footage here that we're about to show was shot by me and Mike Barone.
Yes! Circus Vargas.
I would have brought him here, but I'm not driving. The wife took me here. Some of this footage hasn't been seen since 1992.
Oh my gosh.
And as far as I know, other than the staff members and their families, no one else has seen it. Anyone who's ever been at a taping of The Tonight Show are familiar with the warm-up, and it was pretty much the same every night, night after night, brief highlights on the warm-up coming up. Look inside the anniversary parties. Johnny gave anniversary parties, and he would ask people to get up. He'd tell them you got to get up at the party, and they had to do something. So I have a little bit of that, and those have never been seen before in public. There's a section towards the end of this piece that shows the musical guests that came upon the show over the years. The footage has also been Also, hasn't been seen since the final Tonight Show in 1992. It wasn't included in the home version because producers thought it would cost way too much money to include. They found out later they could have included it. It wasn't as expensive as they thought. Hey, by the way, let's give a big round of applause to Herbie. Woo! Eric McCain. Hiding in the back. Eric. We put this afternoon together.
My production manager, Eric McCain.
And with that, let's roll the footage. I always wanted to say.
Thank you, Don.
One of the finest things, Bessie.
You know, I have had the privilege of meeting so many great classic TV celebrities. You know, that's my thing, classic TV. I love classic TV.
Yes.
I do. And Jeff does too. So I've met many, we've all met many celebs, and I think one of the things that has impressed me, and I know has impressed many of us through the years, is the kind of celebrity that is down to earth, you know, doesn't have an attitude, doesn't think they're better than other people. These two gentlemen are exactly perfect examples of that. And I've always admired them. They've always been approachable, accessible, kind, respectful, not just of, you know, me or whatever, but their fans in general. They adore their fans, they appreciate their fans. And Larry, you've got a CHIPS event coming up, right?
I do.
And tell us about that.
Well, once in a while, Eric Estrada and myself and the rest of the cast. By the way, thank you very much for that. Very humbling, beautiful, unbelievable that we got to see stars like that and virtuosos in terms of their presentation. Truly virtuosos. So thank you. So CHIPS. We do these little events, and I don't know how in the hell we have this longevity, if you will, because there's an old series in the 70s and 80s, and you know, we were walking around looking in the mirror like young actors, thinking we were important, and we weren't. But, and so we do these events where we have a dinner like you're here, and but here's what's really interesting: is people from all over the world fly into these dinners, and I'm just flabbergasted and humbled. And we'll have people fly in from Japan and Australia and the UK to sit down with John and Ponch and ask him, did we ride the motorcycle? Anyway, that's one of many events. Thank you.
Well, you know, Larry, did I ever tell you that one of my first shows that I saw tape or filming in person in LA was a scene of CHIPS. It was at Sunset and Doheny. And I was like, wow, there's CHIPS.
Yeah.
And that one of my dreams as a kid, I wanted to, you know, like Cheryl Ladd replaced Farrah Fawcett.
You wanted to be Ponch?
I wanted to be Poncho's younger brother, Honcho. That was my dream. And I told Eric that, and he just looked at me like, oh, really? Okay, Dean, you have a new book out. So tell us about that. Actually, I think I have a copy of it.
Well, before we talk about the book,
okay.
Before we talk about the book, I just want to, as I look around the room and see all of you, looking at that tape, which was just spectacular.
Amazing.
All of you have the best jobs in Hollywood. I mean, really, what an incredible thing to look at, as Larry said, to see that talent in that situation. Really a singular time in television history, and thank you so much for sharing it, and how cool for all of you that you were side by side with all of that.
Yeah.
It's really great. It's really beautiful. Really cool.
Now, look, sir. Well, are there any particular, before we get into that, any particular Little House on the Prairie short stories that you could tell? That from what is your favorite Little House on the Prairie short
Well,
story?
you know, I always tell people that the first day on anything is a thrilling day. And for me, having just graduated from college, I was 23 years old. I just turned 23 2 days before, walking through graduation ceremonies at University of the Pacific and getting in my car and driving down to Southern California. So Saturday at Pacific and Monday, the 22nd of May, 1979, I'm standing at Big Sky Ranch in Simi Valley. And it was just amazing to step into this incredible unit of people. Obviously very different world than the world of live television that you were all a part of at the studio. But being a part of something that's, and Larry can speak to this too, you're part of something that is filmed, it's a whole rhythm unto itself, and to see all that happen and realize that you're a part of it is a thrilling thing. Anybody who gets to work in our industry in any capacity has to feel really, really fortunate to get that opportunity, because these jobs are so few and far between, and to be fortunate enough to be tagged to say, you're going to get to do this, whatever the job is really a fantastic gift. So I'm going to say my first day was really an amazing day, and I'll never forget it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. So this just came out, it's like a bestseller, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It actually debuted very nicely because there's a huge amount of pre-ordering that goes on. So it premiered it debuted in the top 100 USA Today, and it was high on Publishers Weekly's list. Now it has come back down to earth. It's a more of a normal thing. You know, if you're selling 200 or 300 books a week, you're doing really, really well. And I'm really pleased with it. I never thought that I would do something like this, but when I realized that as we were coming up on 50 years of Little House, celebrating 2024, it really a pretty spectacular thing to be a part of something that's had that life. Larry, you're a part of that too. You know, not every show gets to that 50 years with a degree of relevance. And it's been wonderful to be a part of a show like Little House that does have that relevance. But as the 50th anniversary was coming up, I'm thinking, well, all the women on the show have written books. Karen's written a book, Leslie Anderson wrote a book, Allison Arngrim wrote a book, Charlotte Stewart wrote a book, Ketty Lester wrote a book, even the two girls who were babies have written books. And I just thought, with 50 years coming, if there's ever a time, now's the time. And so I submitted a proposal to Kensington Publishing in New York, and they called me the next day and made an offer.
The next day.
I get it like 6 months later. And started working on it. Took 6 months, and I gave it to them a year ahead of time, and out it came on June 25th. And it's been a great
Congratulations. We're going to give this away as a raffle. But Larry, you're writing a book too. You're working on one, correct? Yes? Or did you not want me to say this?
Yeah, no, I've written a book. I've just finished it, but damn actors, they write these books and mine is 400 pages. Who the hell wants to read 400 pages about Larry Wilcox?
We all do. All right, Gretchen is going to do another rendition of a beautiful song that she prepared for that video.
It's a special club, and you'll always find it at the bottom of a resume. But you can't run those more exciting times. Still think about those days today. One minute you're picking up Mark Harmon or whoever was exciting for you. Then you're headed back to Wheel of Fortune. Whoever heard of so much fun? And it's a special club, taking part in so much television history, working near the greatest comic genius. Another Carson there will never be. The Tonight Show theme seemed like a dream each time it started up. But before the job felt much too glamorous, a research group was my next stop. And it's a special club, never heard of so much. Awesome opportunity. One night you're hanging with the Golden Girls, and next you backstage at the Emmys. Yes, those were the days of an NBC page. We had our own stage with And it's been 40 years, ever thought that ever could be a possibility. But the 80s were the greatest years that NBC has ever seen. Think of the stories, the losses, the glories. Thanks for the memories. Think of you always. Those were the days. Those were the days that you would marvelous days. As an NBC page.
All I can say is thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Herb.
For It was my pleasure to do it. It was an honor to be at Page. It was an honor to know all of you, and you should all applaud yourselves on that. So a lot of people to thank tonight. Mr. Dean Butler, Little House in the Prairie. Buy his book. Mr. Larry Wilcox, who is writing a book. Gretchen Kestes, Harold Kestes. Chris Keller and that amazing poem. Andrew Perry, our videographer. Right there, sir. Thank you, Andrew. Ellen Corcoran, the pianist. Where are you, Ellen? Eric McCain, my production manager right here. And who else? Who else? Roger! Rod, I could not have done it without you, dude. Dude, you're the best. And what can I say? If I go on? Oh, God! Don Sweeney! Don Sweeney! Please. Did I forget anybody else? And does anyone want to be thanked? Does anybody want to be thanked? Please let me know. Don, that was amazing, and it is a gift that you are with us here tonight. So let's have one more round of applause. And thank you, Jeff, for reminding me that, you know, Eva Hawkins and Jesse Gomez. Thank you. Karen Powers. I mean, Dorothy. The Tin Man.
Mary Maggio.
Mary Maggio. Jay, who had the Disney stuff in his office.
Jay Michaels.
Jay Michaels. G. Walsh.
Alvadia.
So many people. But anyway, I guess this is it, guys. So I'll see you in another 40 years. And God bless you all. Drive safe.
I'll be 60 then.
Be kind to each other. And see you later.